What's up, D learners? It's your girl, Lady D of DTalford Training Solutions. Yesterday, I came to you guys and I had a reaction to Lauren Brazy's um, signs of autism, 5 signs of autism in babies. Uh, the information that I gave to you were based on two of the trainings that I do. One of them is called Just Tell Me the Basics, What is Autism? And the other one is called He Has What? Um, just different diagnoses that children have in our preschool classrooms. Today, I want to talk to you about ADHD. And I mentioned yesterday that my two of my children are diagnosed with ADHD. ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder or Attention Deficit Disorder. So I'm just going to read to you. So I collaborated this information from various sources. Some of them are the Mayo Clinic, Medical News Today, Kids Health, ADHD.com, CDC.gov, and Wikipedia, and the Infant Toddler Environmental Rating Scale, and the Environmental Rating Scale for Early Childhood. So that's what we use in North Carolina to kind of guide us in how to do things in classrooms with children with developmental delays and things like that. But the actual information about ADHD came from these other sources. So the definition is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is one of the most common childhood disorders and can continue through adolescence and adulthood. Symptoms include difficulty staying focused and paying attention, difficulty controlling behavior, and hyperactivity. There are 3 subtypes. You can be predominantly hyperactive or impulsive. So that's the ones that are just not able to control their bodies. They're just constantly can't not touch something, not talk back, things like that. Then you have predominantly inattentive. This tends to be the quieter child, usually typically more girls. You'll see with the more inattentive part, and boys you'll see with the more impulsive part, but it can be either one that's either inattentive or impulsive. And then you have a combination. So basically, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, whenever I'm working with people and I say, if you're questioning this, always, 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 always go to your pediatrician first. As I said in my last video, I went to my pediatrician about a lot of things. At first, my pediatrician and I did not always agree. I divorced my pediatrician, got a different pediatrician. I've had several pediatricians over the years because some of them have left the practice and some of them didn't agree with me. I absolutely love my pediatrician right now. I am not saying that you should go to my pediatrician, but my pediatrician is Dr. Smoke at Charlotte Pediatric Clinic in Steel Creek. And the reason that pediatrician works for me is because, first off, he is a homeschool dad, so he understands what I'm doing. He's not questioning me as a homeschool parent. He understands that homeschool parents do not always medicate. Medication would be for my child to be able to function in school. He does not need that medication at my house. Now, for some parents who do not work with children or deal with children on a regular basis, they may need their child medicated all the time. You're the parent. You have to decide what you need and what you need for your family. So for my household, we homeschool so that my son does not have to be medicated, and he does function without the medication. I have seen other kids and have kids in my family, they need that medication. If they don't have that medication, it's not going to be a good day. So if you are wondering, does my child have ADHD? In the same way, if you're wondering, does my child have autism, you start with your medical home, your pediatrician or nurse practitioner. Then hopefully they will give you resources. If they don't, you push for someone who can help you. A developmental pediatrician, and this is more about you guys being the advocate for your child. We talked yesterday about the CDSA, Children's Developmental Services Agency, Be Early NC website. So between the ages of 0 and 3, they can diagnose a developmental delay. Even though it may look like potentially it can manifest into some kind of ADHD. As I told you yesterday, my son, we thought it could be autism. It was ADHD. Sometimes ADHD and autism can go together. It's called being comorbid. Just because you have one doesn't mean that you have the other. But someone can have ADHD and autism. That's why when kids are 0 to 3, you really don't want to you really just kind of want to look, observe, let them get as much therapy as possible. Not overdoing therapy. When I say get as much therapy as possible, I mean the parent learn from the therapist, and then the parent every day implementing what the therapist teaches them. So as much therapy as possible does not mean I have a speech therapist, occupational therapist, play therapist all come into my house at the same time. It means I am learning from maybe one or two of those people as the parent and working with my child. Then once the child is over 3, my son, he was diagnosed ADHD by the time he was about 3.5, 4. That's the first time we put him on medication because he just kept getting kicked out of child care centers. The way we figured out he had ADHD is I had a psychologist test him, and with the psychological assessment, I filled out this Vanderbilt questionnaire. You can get these offline. It's called the NICHQ Vanderbilt Assessment Scale Parent. And I printed off the teacher version. There is the short version and the extended version. The first time we did the extended version, I took it all to my pediatrician. My pediatrician scored it for me. But then on top of the pediatrician, I also did an assessment with a psychologist. Now, you can use a psychologist through the CDSA. Again, if your child's under 3, they're not most likely going to tell you about ADHD diagnosis, because usually kids have to be school age for that. But if it's autism and looking, they can usually tell you that before the age of 3. They can tell you that at a very young age. So it's good to get the assessments, know what you're dealing with, because it was helpful for me to know that I probably wasn't dealing with autism. I was dealing with ADHD. We may need to take some different approaches when it comes to this. Sometimes you take the same approach. It just really depends on the child. So some of the things that are on here, I'm going to go over in my next video, is just some of the symptoms of ADHD. And then if I have enough time with you guys, we can go over what is some of the resources in Charlotte Mecklenburg, in addition to that Be Early and the CDSA in the state of North Carolina. Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools can also help you with the diagnosis, or your LEA, Local Education Agency. So in our next video, we will talk more about the symptoms of ADHD and some of the ways that you can help young children in the classroom with ADHD. Remember, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. You are the most important person in a child's life, and it is you that will help them reach their potential. Bye for now.